Let me tell you something. For every sucker who makes it, for every Barry Sanders, for every Jerry Rice, there's 100 fellas you never heard of. Sure, the game taught you how to strut, how to talk shit, how to hit, but what else? Suddenly there's no more money, no more women, no more applause, no more dream. This is what I'm trying to say to you. When a man looks back on his life, he should be proud of all of it, not just the years he spent in pads and cleats, not just memories of when he was great. You gotta learn that in here, or if you don't, you ain't a man, you're just another punk.
Huh. Got some actual NFL player references there. First I was thinking Jerry Maguire, but that's probably not right, is it?
It is not Jerry Maguire.
Hmm.
I do think it is from that same time period. I think the those movies came out around the same time.
Hmm. What other movies actually reference the league like that?
Yeah, right.
And it wouldn't be Concussion if you're saying it was a 90s flick, right? Mid 90s?
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm stumped.
Um,
What other teen?
they they are the movie from the quote is 3 years newer. It came out 3 years after any given or after Jerry Maguire,
Okay.
and the person who says it
Mm-hmm.
was
Mm-hmm.
an actual NFL player. He's not playing himself, but he was an actual person in the league in real life.
Is this from Any Given Sunday?
That is from Any Given Sunday. It
Oh,
didn't help that I
okay.
basically almost said the name a second ago.
You and I have unfinished business.
Oh? And what's so stinking about it?
Non mi piace il feeling. Spero to start. I think this just might be my masterpiece.
Welcome
That
to the
works.
Average Joe's Movie Club Cast. This is Justin.
And I'm Joey.
We're wrapping up a turbulent end of summer on a radical note as we crawl down in the sewers to pull out some TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle nostalgia, as we chat about their first movie from 1990. Plus, it's a
Cowabunga.
landmark. Plus, it's a landmark that fell short. 2001 movies for Joey did not make it there. I'm forcing him to talk about this Kubrickian space odyssey early as we check out 2001.
And just a heads up, as always, we are going to discuss these movies in full. So if you've not seen these, please skip forward to avoid any spoilers.
If you want to be a part of the movie clubcast, make sure to hit subscribe, hit the bell. We'd love to hear from you. And my apologies to anybody who listened to all of the last episode because I got pretty drunk, pretty drunk, pretty regretful. Kind of listened back to that and as I slurred the last few minutes of that show. So definitely love Inglorious Bastards. The isn't that my masterpiece moment is one of the reasons why I do this show. Love that moment and love talking about movies. So hopefully won't show my butt that hard next time or ever again.
At least not while recording.
You know. All right. So what you been watching lately with the good, bad, and the ugly?
Well, I have, and you'll notice a theme. I have mad, madder, maddest.
And Madden.
No Madden. No Madden, although that would have been a great segue, I guess, but no.
Okay. Still disappointing. Remembering back to a time and place. And Mr. Bleh. I didn't really watch too much since the last show.
Oh.
Not too much. All right, where should I start?
You should start at Mr. Blah.
Mr. Blah. Okay, so I've been kind of on a quest to watch all these Adam Sandler movies back, and I came across Mr. Deeds on Netflix.
I have a quick question for you. What is your quest?
To find the Holy Grail.
All right, so you're watching Mr. Deeds, who is apparently Mr. Blah.
Yeah. No, well, I'm on a quest to watch the Adam Sandler movies again. So Mr. Deeds is one I randomly saw on opening night at the theater. I remember me and my buddy were like, "Oh, a new Adam Sandler movie's coming out," so we met up at the theater and watched this movie. So this is one of the ones where everybody loves him. He's too cool for school, and then something happens. So in this one, he inherits a fortune from an uncle he'd never even met before. He's this nice guy that owns like a pizzeria from a real humble town, and the classic story of a reporter wanting to get the scoop on this everyday guy getting a fortune and going to New York to that kind of deal. Some fun character moments from his regulars like Steve Buscemi and so forth. He's like supposed to be this greeting card writer, so like he'll like stand up in front of his pizzeria and write these really ridiculous greeting card messages, and everyone thinks it's so wonderful. But as we all know, greeting cards are usually pretty bland, not exciting. So yeah, that's Mr. Deeds. I mean, the corporate guys want to get in on the money and screw him out of it, and then the love interest ensues. So yes,
Which is Winona, right? Is Winona Ryder?
yes, yeah, that was one of the highlights. Is because my son's a big Stranger Things fan. So anytime we see a Winona Ryder in a movie, I'm just like, Nolan, did you know that is Stranger Things Winona Ryder? And he mocks, and then he kind of squints at me, cuts his eyes.
Does it? Have you introduced him to Beetlejuice?
Oh yeah, we watched that this past week too. Oh yeah, they know Beetlejuice well.
And they're ready for Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm. That looks like it's gonna be fun. What's his name?
Michael
Green
Keaton.
Goblin.
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, William Dafoe.
Dafoe!
Dafoe. All right, how about Matter? What's your Matter movie?
Why? They're literally in order, and you picked the fucking middle one, but okay.
Yep.
You son of a bitch. Matter is Fury Road.
Oh.
Mad Max Fury Road, to be more specific.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I decided I needed to delve back into that for certain things hitting streaming recently. And I'm on a 30-day trial to Max currently, so I have access to some other things, and decided to give Fury Road a watch. So, Fury Road, I always get a lot of hate and a lot of heat from my friends because I always kind of thought Fury Road was overrated, and it's a big, dumb, amazing looking action movie, and they're all like, we don't understand why you don't like it. And after having rewatched it, I can't really say why I don't dislike it. And I thought it was better this viewing than I did when I saw it in the theater all those years ago. But like, I don't know, even with all the great actors and how beautiful it is and the greatest chasing in the history of movies, I still just kind of like, it's a thing. But Max was Max and other people, I guess Furiosa, they were madder. Although I guess it's her first time being mad. um, than say in previous entries in the franchise. So matter.
All right. Curious what else you dug up then.
Still disappointing.
All right. So we watched X-Men. We watched Deadpool Wolverine again, which got my kids on this. Have you seen Deadpool Wolverine yet?
Nope.
Okay. So there's a lot of cameos, and let's just say X-Men falls right back in line with that. So this is the original X-Men that came out back in 2000. I firmly remember watching this in the movie theater. I actually saw it a double feature at the Mall of America movie theater. Saw that and Perfect Storm on the same day, and I would say I much preferred Perfect Storm. Why don't I like X-Men? Well,
We know why you don't like this X-Men, because Wolverine is the main character.
well, essentially, I mean, the movie's called X-Men, but the whole thing's about Wolverine and Rogue, which, I mean, they're fine characters, and Wolverine, has his good aspects, but there's just too much emphasis on that.
I hate how they fucked on Rogue in that movie. Like nothing against Anna Paquin. Anna Paquin's a great actress, but they fucked on Rogue. Rogue was like, in the cartoon, I liked her more than Wolverine. Like, it was her, Wolverine, and Jubilee were my favorites. And, she flies around and she's crazy strong and she fucks everything up and, has her, freaking like Cajun Southern accent going on. And then it's Anna Paquin not knowing what in the fuck's happening. And yeah, they fucked on Rogue in that movie.
Same kind of plot as The Amazing Spider-Man, where they're trying to send out some kind of signal in order to transform everybody around. But, yeah, so I think the Magneto's big plot to turn humans into mutants in this one, it's pretty lame, especially because they turn the one lawmaker into a mutant, and then he just, like, kind of gets sick and then turns into water or whatever. So that was pretty pointless. And, yeah, so essentially he's about to kill all of humanity before they stop him. Toad,
That was
very lame baddie to go to. What now?
That was the point, though. He was to show you that what they were doing wasn't going to work, and it was going to kill everybody instead of having his intended meaning.
Sabretooth's all right. Don't mind Magneto. The special effects of like this like gizmo he creates, where it's like these bands of white rays, looks pretty cheap. The CGI is kind of so-so in this movie, but I mean it was 2000, so it's kind of what you expect. Gosh, they did so much better with X2, which we watched a few days after that. It's just very disappointing movie for what like I expected as a 90s kid watching all those cool team up cartoons, and they treat Cyclops like he's a punk. I mean, I've gone over this over and over again, but definitely whenever
he is a punk. He was a punk in the cartoons. He's a punk in the movie.
He's not a punk in the cartoons.
He's Wolverine's punk. He's a bitch.
Oh, no.
We've been over this.
I think another good thing I can say about this movie is the casting. I mean, between Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, you got even Halle Berry in there, and
Hugh Jackman.
Oh yeah, he's casted in there too. But X-Men, definitely a kind of a fart start for the X-Men, but they got better in the second one.
I think you're being a little overcritical. Also, I mean, you did admit, say, oh, this was from 24 years ago, but like being hard on the CGI from 24 years ago, they definitely
that was not my main complaint.
I know. I feel like that was a good, and granted, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I feel like it was a good start for kind of what would become modern superhero movies, because that and Spider-Man, and then you go into the Dark Knight trilogy into the MCU, and we just kind of off to the races until we hit superhero fatigue, and yeah.
All right, what's your Mad movie?
That would be the OG Mad Max,
Oh,
which I had not seen I don't even know how long. Probably some point in time, either right before or right after Fury Road is my guess. But I decided to go back and watch that, and I liked it a lot more the second time around. A lot of differences between Mad Max and Fury Road, obviously, like budget and that kind of stuff is a big thing. As this was, made on like nothing down in Australia. But you get a young Mel Gibson, um, and just a lot of crazy like car and motorcycle crash and chase scenes, and even the end. There's a moment where I was like, oh man, how did this movie influence Saw? But it fucking did. Like, it's kind of nuts. So, it is definitely streaming on Max, and if you've never seen it or you want to revisit it, I definitely think it's worth checking out.
I've seen Road Warrior at least 2 times, but only Mad Max that one time. I saw it in my little dorm room TV. Got the disc off of Netflix, so definitely need to go back to that.
Netflix. Mm-hmm. Oh, my bones are turning to dust.
Your bones are turning to dust. All right, so I'm on to remembering back to a time and place, huh?
Yes, that is what you have left. Good stuff.
All right, so Beavis and Butthead Do America was a movie I was recommended to by a pal to revisit, and it's still as kind of unspecial as it was back whenever I saw it as a kid and being like, the trip out scene and the
Cornholio, I need TP for my bunghole. You guys, the boys have been whacking it in my tool shed. I've never seen so much whacking.
Come the Butthead. Is it Mike Judge who's the creator of Beavis and Butthead?
That sounds correct, yes.
So
they just had like a new movie come out like within the last couple of years.
Yes, I do know that. I mean, this is kind of just a cheesy like cop movie with Beavis and Butthead in it. Kind of pointless whenever I feel kind of stupid analyzing Beavis and Butthead a little bit, but I'm going to do. With Mike Judge and like you got Office Space and it's such a like crafty movie and there's not really a lot of substance to Beavis and Butthead. I guess it's just kind of a speaking of
it's just
idiotic youth culture. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Idiotic youth culture. Gosh, yeah, this really speaks to the '90s with like it has that America's Most Wanted voice guy in there, and they end up in Vegas, and then they end up on a bus ride across America, and
roller coaster.
Yep, that's a good part where they're rolling into Vegas. Yep, you got the whole. I did roll my eyes pretty hard whenever Butthead's like, "Come the Butthead," and I'm Cornholio on the plane. But actually, it kind of comes together towards the end as like they got the FBI like pointing weapons at them, and the femme fatale put like this microchip in Beavis's pants, and so that's a whole thing. And I noticed that Hank Hill from King of the Hill is actually his prototype was a character in Beavis and Butthead. So I just was thinking something more was under the surface with Beavis and Butthead, but it really just was, I think, just a time and place. And I think if they would have started the movie with like them actually making fun of music videos like they did in the show, like it might have set the scene a little better. But just jumping into it as it was with, we gotta go on into this adventure because we're missing our TV. Just it's kind of unfulfilling in its simplicity.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't expect outside of the nostalgia. Like, I haven't seen that movie in years, and obviously, like, I was just, I still knew stuff from it. But outside of its nostalgia aspect, I don't really think, being, the fresh age of 25 that you and I are, that we have much to gain from Beavis and Butthead. When we were watching that in our youth, when it was before South Park when it was the taboo thing to watch. So
Shoot, I wasn't even
yes,
allowed to watch Simpsons. I watched a little bit more Beavis and Butthead just because it was really, really taboo. Like whenever we were in elementary school, and like you'd go on like CNN and be like, "Kid burns down school. Parents blame Beavis and Butthead." That kind
yeah.
of thing.
And yes, there was a time before South Park. It seems like there wasn't, but there was a time before South Park and before The Simpsons who did it.
Well, South Park was cool because that was like the new thing where it was like not even in like crossing the taboo thing. Whenever we discovered it, we're hearing all those fun naughty words on TV.
So many of my friends' parents, like, they, like, if they came to my house, they were like, they are not allowed to watch South Park, and it's like, we're gonna, we're fucking going to. I remember being at my friend's grandparents' house for some reason, and we were sitting there eating, and we were talking about it, and I guess their younger sister or somebody, one of their cousins or somebody, brought up South Park. And then, the parents were like, you can't watch that, it's filth. And they're like, we don't even know what channel it's on. And I was like, oh, it's on channel 50 at this time. And the look I got of, like, if you weren't a child, I would kill you.
All right. How about Maddest? Is that Furiosa?
I was about to say, would you like to take a guess? And it is, in fact, Furiosa.
Oh, how was that?
I loved it.
Oh, cool.
Of the three that I have watched, it is my favorite, because I still have not seen the sequels to the first one. But I thought that they went and delved more into the world and the story and the characters in Furiosa than they did in Fury Road, and I really enjoyed that. Have you seen it?
Not yet.
So Chris Hemsworth's character, fucking fantastic. Anya Taylor-Joy, great as always, and not to try to like disparage Tom Hardy or Charlize, because they were great too, but they just weren't given as much to work with.
Yeah.
And then there's another character, Praetorian Jack. So it's just really cool. And if you think Furiosa is a badass in Fury Road, she is like that much more of a badass in Furiosa. It's like in my top 5. If it's not my top 5, it's in my top 10 new movies for this year, like for my first watches. So I really enjoyed it. It actually made me kind of appreciate Fury Road a little bit more. Like it almost feels like Kill Bill in the sense of obviously not the blood and gore and all of that, but Kill Bill, the first half of Kill Bill is just crazy action, hardly any time to breathe, although more time to breathe than Fury Road. And then you get to Kill Bill the second half or part 2, and there's way more introspection and story and like world building, and that's kind of how it felt to me as well for Fury Road and Furiosa.
Yeah, Mac's sitting there for me, so I need to check that one out as well. That and Dune 2, both of those are sitting there.
I need to watch both the Dunes.
Dune.
I don't know how many.
Dune it up.
Max has so much stuff on it. Like, I know we're not an official Criterion channel, but we talk about Criterions a fuck ton. There's so many Criterion titles on Max. Obviously they're not labeled Criterion, but they just are Criterions. They're just sitting there going through the movie. So I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay. There's a decent amount of Kurosawa on there too. It's not everything, but that's a good bit. So.
I did see one artsy movie recently. It was kind of funny because like we watched some of these like Godard movies. You've seen like Breathless now, right? Well, we saw Band Apart, right?
Yeah, we saw Band Apart. I have not seen Breathless.
So I saw this movie with Adam called The Knack. The Knack and How to Get It, which basically the knack means like you're a ladies' man. So it was really like a stylistic British kind of sexual revolution kind of Godard film, very stylistic, and it makes fun of sex quite a bit. But then all of a sudden at the end, it like goes really heavy-handed with like rape being bad. So that was kind of jolting. But yeah, it won the Palme d'Or the year it came out. So it was neat to run into it that way. But it was like this total like prototypical Criterion that's not on the channel. But I've seen so many other movies like it. So I didn't mean to say not on the channel and not in the collection. But so it's fun to run in a movie that seems so familiar like that, but yet you wouldn't have run into it since it wasn't on Criterion. Another artsy movie path. All right, let's get into.
Well, clearly it's not a masterpiece.
No, I wouldn't say it's a masterpiece.
As soon as it gets that C stamp, baby, it becomes a masterpiece.
That's what you were going for. Oh, God,
Yeah. Always.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a 1990 American superhero film based on a comic book series. TMNT follows the Turtles on a quest to save their Master Splinter and their new allies, April O'Neil and Casey Jones, from the Shredder and his Foot Clan.
I'm going to interject for a second. We are going to use TMNT as the abbreviation and not the movie TMNT or the show or whatever that came out. We are talking about the OG one from 1990. And the reason that other one is called TMNT is because it was an abbreviation for a long time. Okay. Just clarification.
This was the highest grossing independent film before the Blair Witch Project came out. And an early an early idea for this movie was to have it half animated, half live action, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which would have been really weird.
Yeah, that would have been strange.
To help disguise how cumbersome the slow turtle costumes were, the dialogue scenes were shot at 23 frames per second so that they were played at normal speed of 24 frames per second. They appeared a bit sharper. For that same reason, the fight scenes were shot at 22 or 23 frames per second, which I didn't know. I did. A lot of times I notice whenever action scenes are like sped up in movies like this, but I didn't notice much any issues. I thought all like the costuming and the fight scenes all looked great in this movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A lot of this was shot in North Carolina. I guess they used the same warehouse as what's used in Super Mario Brothers and in The Crow. So it also kind of reminds me of what was that other movie we saw from the mid-90s? Cyborg. It was shot in like a North Carolina warehouse
also in
too.
Wilmington. Yeah, it was like on the beaches because it had all the dunes and everything.
Mm-hmm. And then according to Josh Pazes on a podcast I was there too, the director Steve Barron was fired near the end of production as the producers thought the film would become too dark. It is uncertain how the difference the film would have had between the final cut. However, fans are still curious about what differences it would have had. The only thing I think I've heard about this at some point down the way, and there's kind of a scene where like one of the turtles like mutters something that kind of seems like there's some bad words, but and the fact that I think Raph says like "damn" at one point.
I mean, Raph says "damn" 3 or 4 times in the movie, and then also says "bitchin" at the end. But I mean, it being dark would make a little bit of sense because that's the source material is very dark. Obviously the cartoon wasn't. But they even if you go into 2, because I didn't intend to, but I double featured this 1 and 2,
Okay.
and in 2, they don't hardly ever use their weapons because of they didn't want them using lethal weapons when they're about to make a fuck ton off the toys and stuff. So
Yep, I've heard of that. Now, were you aware of this coming out in theaters? For me, it wasn't until Secret of the Ooze TMNT 2 where I was understood that these movies were like out and I should go see them, since obviously I was a big fan of the cartoon and the video games and toys.
I just had them on VHS. Like, I remember that I just watched them all the time. I don't remember going to theater. Like I said, the first thing we talked about, remembering in theater, I remember seeing Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I know that was in theater. And then after that, the next thing that I can vividly remember and with 100% certainty say that I saw in theater was Jurassic Park.
It's quite the jump.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that I didn't go to the theater, Well, that's just what I remember. Like
Right.
I know that I had Batman '89 on VHS, and I watched the dog shit out of it. I had like Land Before Time, God knows which ones, and I remember watching those. But the next thing I remember is like Jurassic Park. So.
But I came across this movie, I think, on VHS, and this one's never really like stood out to me for some reason. I guess I like the second one because I mean you got the whole like Vanilla Ice part and Go Ninja Go and Tokar and Razor and Tok or whatever.
Who looked like garbage. Oh my god. The second one is so much worse. Like it was still enjoyable. But I remember we were watching the end of this one, and there's the rap at the end, and I was like, oh, this rap's so much worse than the rap in 2. And then we sit there and watch 2, and outside of Vanilla Ice going, go Ninja, go Ninja, go Ninja, go, the rest of that rap is not very good. Like, at all. Like, even for, like, by Vanilla Ice's standards.
Apparently the girl who played April didn't want to come back for the sequels because, it was too violent, which is probably a good thing because she was very blah in this role with her disheveled looking hair and, I guess, cheap-ass looking yellow rain jacket.
Well, I mean, she was supposed to have the yellow rain jacket, my guy, and this clearly was on a budget. But this would have been perfect.
It was just a very cheap one, is what I was getting at.
Well, yeah, because they were on a budget, my guy. They just probably found one at the dime store or whatever.
5 and dime.
The 5 and dime.
Go get that slicker.
How much better would it have been if it had been Julia Roberts as April O'Neil?
I don't know. Probably better.
Probably, but seeing as this came out in 1990, and if I'm not mistaken, if it wasn't 1990, it was 1991.
Pretty Woman?
I think Pretty Woman, yeah.
Okay.
And it's been like, but it'd been so much better. I didn't mind this April. I like the other April in 2, like looks wise better, but she didn't look like April O'Neil being a brunette and everything. So.
Okay. You hear about this one being dark, but I would say the darkest part about this is like how the lack of lighting and like it being real gritty, which probably came from the fact that it was a lower dollar production. Did you ever notice it being too dark in the sewers and so forth?
No, but I mean, I did. The copy I watched was like an Umbrella copy. It was like recently restored, and so it looked really good. I watched the Stinkovision version, which came with scratch and sniff stickers labeled 1 through 9, and at certain points in the movie there would be a number pop up, and you're supposed to scratch the sticker and smell it to more immerse yourself in the movie.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I did not do that because I was eating, but still.
Fun little opening scene with some kind of silly humor as the Foot Clan is lifting all these things, and even somebody's TV as they're watching out on their balcony.
Or a whole truck while the dude's getting signatures so he can unload the truck. The whole truck.
Our hero saving April O'Neil for the first time in the shadows, very typical of this kind of movie. But daggone, the music in this movie is really good. Like the poppy beat. Mm-hmm.
Also, I mean, them being in the shadows clearly. Master Splinter strives. Ninja live in shadow, and people won't understand how you look, and da 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 da. So, like,
true.
It makes a lot of sense that they fought in the dark as ninja.
But what I was going to get at was like the poppy music where like we're getting introduced to the characters and like their environment having fun, and then like whenever it gets more serious later on, like just the movie, the music across the board here really fits the tone of Turtles, or the mood of it. Tone, mood, same thing, I guess. Let's see. Kind of weird to see the traditional TMNT logo there thrown across the gritty screen, but I'm glad it stayed true to that. I guess across the board, I would say all the Turtle stuff seems pretty faithful to the source material here.
I mean, I've never seen the comics and stuff, so from what I remember is the obviously the '80s cartoon in this movie. So to me, yeah, it's all pretty faithful. Like, I can't get over how all of the newer versions of the Turtles, they just don't look right. In both animated and real life / CGI. So
Did you notice at times like the turtle faces were made up to be like more aggressive looking while they were fighting? They're like going like this.
well, yeah, because they'd be groaning and stuff while they were fighting. That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't really remember seeing that much of that in the sequel, so it's cool how it really kind of popped here. Yeah, I guess overall they're pretty fun loving. I mean, they're cracking their usual jokes like they do in the sequels. Just a little bit little mouthy from Raph with some of this
And a
profanity.
decent amount of like movie references that I never picked up on as a kid. Like
Okay.
obviously they make the bogey reference with Raph dressed up as in his with his hat and everything. And there were several other ones I don't remember. And then,
George Cagney reference.
yeah, they had a George Cagney reference, and they had another.
Did they have Bogey
Uh,
and George Cagney?
yeah, and then they had another reference because he was doing another voice
He
that
did
wasn't
Rocky
Cag.
too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then Critters playing in the theater.
Yep, gotta love getting to see a little marquee in a movie. Highlight another movie from the era. Raph's angst is what I was wanting to say there, not him talking profanity. Even though that's like the main what he does there. That pizza does not look like the extra cheese that Mikey ordered, but with those olives and green peppers, I would love eating that thing. Maybe
I mean,
not
I'll
maybe
take.
not pass through a sewer grate, but
I mean, the box was closed. I would
can
take the
never
peppers
pay
just
for
to keep
late
the.
pizza.
Yes.
Or never pay extra
Forgiveness
for
is
late
divine,
pizza.
but never pay full price for late pizza.
Gosh, Casey Jones's mask looks freaking badass in this. It's
It
like
did. His mask looked really
perfect.
good.
Like he's like the big like surprise of this movie with like how like he stands out like because everything is like pretty much what you expect, but then he's there and he's like really awesome. So, taxi driver notices the big turtle, doesn't seem to care too much. I guess that's hey, we see it all here in New York.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
much. It's just like I gotta continue. I gotta make my drive with whatever.
Very weird dynamic with April Hunter Boss. Like what she like he just like randomly shows up at her apartment and with his son and like his son just like hanging out and he's like saying how concerned he is about this reporter.
Because she had gotten jumped. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I mean it's there to in order to set up the fact that Danny or whatever is hooked up with the Foot Clan, but it just seems a little like it's like he should be like she should be like the older sister or something, not like the employee in the situation. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just to set up, both Danny being in the Foot Clan and the story with April investigating the Foot Clan and all of that. So
Oh my gosh, April's being a dick to that dude. Like, I know the police, like, the head of police is, like, being a dick, but, man, like, April's, like, really sticking it to him. It's like, if we
I
would
mean,
tell
that's
us
kind
any
of her.
information.
And that is kind of her job. So
See, abandoned subway fight ends up with April getting taken to the turtle's lair for a nice heavy exposition dump, as we have heard this tale many times of the little baby turtles going in the ooze.
yes.
Lovely cliche of the character being freaked out by our fun action heroes.
I mean, wouldn't you be freaked out if you woke up and there were four giant humanoid turtles and a humanoid rat?
Most definitely.
Or I guess now we'd be like, hell yes, the Ninja Turtles are real. I could be Casey Jones.
If this movie was made now, I mean, you get like a flashback that was like all cutesy and animated, but it's so gritty and weird looking in this. It's like pizza. Like, yeah, the characters are cute, but it's okay.
And I think
Joey,
and they just know
comment.
what pizza is. They
Oh,
just know what it
instantly.
is off the cut. Yeah, just first words, pizza, pizza.
It's just weird having these cute little creatures in this really gritty looking flashback. So, am I crazy? Or maybe was your copy just that divine to where none of this grittiness is not even there? What is this grittiness you speak of, Justin?
Yeah, I don't really remember it being gritty, but I mean, I guess like that scene, was supposed to be back in time, but like it was Turtles back in time before Turtles in Time, before Turtles 4, the game.
I'm not picking up when I'm laying down here. All right. Foot
No.
Clan goes and wrecks the lair, and so the guys have to go crash at April's place. As I flicked back through this movie, I noticed that. So whenever April's in her apartment and she doesn't want her boss to like see, I think it's Leonardo who's hiding in the shower or whatever. Her shower
Donnie,
curtain.
But yeah,
Oh, is it Donnie? Leonardo?
I think it's Donnie. It doesn't matter. It's one of them. Who's hiding is irrelevant. But
I was thinking the purple turtle and I said the wrong one. So it was right in here, just not right here, which is pretty usual. Anyways, what I want to get to is the fact that if you look at that shower curtain, it has ducks with little yellow rain jackets on them. So
okay, you are into the background hardcore in this movie.
I just when you notice it and it fits, then you got to say it. Did you notice a young Sam Rockwell?
Yes, we went because Carl was like, "That's Sam Rockwell," and I was like, "It sure as fuck looks like him." And we got to the final credits, and we are like, "Hey."
Yep. We're family. Do you want to smoke menthols? Pretty hip shredder lair. They got all those arcade games and even an elevated skate track.
Man, that spot was so fucking 90s with all like the color and then the skate park and all the arcade machines. Like, bro, so 90s.
Shredder looks mostly cool except his oversized like metal mouth guard thing and his purple pajamas are all sparkly.
I mean, look, they give him flexibility to move around and do martial arts.
Yep. Definitely more flexibility than Batman during that era.
Yes, well, I mean, because I'm not wearing hockey pants.
Nice long action scene that starts off on the roof. Raph gets beat up, moves into April's apartment, which she has a really, really nice skylight as everyone starts jumping through it. And her floor collapses, and somehow they end up in the basement of the building, and it catches on fire. So a lot happens, but it's a really good action scene.
Her father's store. Yeah.
Oh, her father's store. Jeez, I totally...
Yeah. Yeah, it was her father's store that she kept around, and then she had showed it to the other turtles, and then, all the shit went down, and then there was like a back exit, which is how they got out, and into the van and into the farm.
And Splinter's a damn good puppet. Damn good. All that, like the beads of water on his hair, on his face. Looks awesome.
I mean, Jim Henson Productions, they know what they're doing.
Go to the...
Except for the two costumes in the sequel, but I digress.
Well, he died right after this came out.
Yeah.
So, good old country house cliche as they head out there to go get themselves back in touch with themselves. Little cliche moment of April talking about each of the turtles' characters. She draws sketches of them. I'm not sure what movie that's plucked from, but it's definitely plucked from something.
Or did they pluck from this? This was 34 years ago.
Could be, maybe. Although that the campfire scene's pretty badass. Whenever the campfire turns blue and then there's Splinter over top of it, and they're like, "Sons, it's time to come avenge me." Basically.
You've all now learned the final level of ninja.
Ninjutsu. And then an awesome shot of the turtles standing there in the grass woods, the grass field in the woods, and the sun behind them, and they're like, "It's time to go back." So cool moments there. The kid visits Splinter, gets a little flashback of the rat learning ninjutsu from his master, and then scratching Splinter, which gives them their history with another gritty flashback, which we'll keep moving on from. Casey Jones questioning the Foot's concept of family. from the lair to the streets, and then they climb up on the roof for the finale, which is fun because like Shredder like lets all the turtles like spar with him individually and like get all worn out, but it's Splinter doing the here run at me strategy that initially or gets him caught off guard. And so what happens to the Shredder?
Well, first of all, why do the turtles like their power is in numbers, yet they all attack 1v1, and they see that they're getting punked, and then finally Leo gets punked, and he has a kill on him, and so all the other turtles throw their weapons away, and then Splinter shows up, and calls Shredder by his real name, and Shredder takes his mask off, and you see the scars, and then Shredder gets so infuriated that he loses his cool, and he just rushes Splinter, and Splinter throws him off the building into a garbage truck that Casey cuts on, and you see smashing the helmet. There's no way this man could have survived.
Unless he did.
Unless he did somehow, which makes no sense. And then Casey finally gets to kiss April. All the kids tell the cops where the stolen merchandise was.
Which somehow gets them off the hook.
Yeah, they never get questioned or anything. Danny gives $20 back to April and has a nice moment with Dad. And the movie ends, and everybody lives happily ever after.
Credits roll with a Turtles rap.
Yes.
Very 90s.
Very 90s.
So yeah, TMNT is definitely like your typical like how to put like an action like thing into a movie. It's very, kind of by the book with its plot wise, introducing the characters, they get in trouble, have to go regroup and then come back for the ending kind of thing. But definitely stays loyal to the source material. Great costumes, the action looks good, the music definitely adds to it. Swish wasn't so dark, and it definitely doesn't stand out as one of the Turtles' better movies, but it's neat to see where it started. 3.5.
4.5. I think it is.
Holy
probably
shit!
The pinnacle. I think it's probably the pinnacle of the Turtles movies. Dude, there was so many great movie references for like adults and stuff in here, and then it has, of course, all the nostalgia flowing. And I'm not sitting here going, oh, this movie from 35 years ago is so cliche with all these things we've seen in hundreds of movies since then. It's not their fault. And yeah, so I just wish that the big fight scene at the end would have been better. It was kind of to me the end of the movie was kind of a wet fart. But it is better than 2. Although I will say I saw one of the best reviews ever for a movie, and it was about Ninja Turtles 2, Secrets of the Ooze, where it was like, I'm so glad this movie has a character named Kino, because that's what this movie is. And I was like, damn, that's so good.
Oh, it's come to this, Joey. All right, movie number 2 tonight, 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's from 1968, science fiction film, produced and directed by Stanley Kubrick. Screenplay written by Kubrick and science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke. Clarke also published a novelization of the movie. In part, it was written concurrently with the screenplay after the film's release. The film's follows a voyage by astronauts, scientists, and the sentient supercomputer HAL to Jupiter to investigate an alien monolith. Some fun facts. I just picked a few because you could pretty much talk about factoids about this movie for days. See, the movie was not actually a financial success for MGM at first. It actually wasn't until like hippies started talking about the movie and were taking psychedelic drugs and going to see, especially the end of the movie when they go into the Stargate sequence. Let's see, at the premiere, 241 people walked out of the theater, and they said, "Will someone tell me what the hell this is about?" Arthur C. Clarke once said, "If you understand 2001 completely, we failed. We wanted to arise far more questions than we answered." How 9000 Computers started out as a mobile robot, but as Clarke feared that this view of AI would become hopelessly outdated in the coming decades, and so they made it an omnipresent red eye instead. Genius move. And my screen jumped on me. I guess AI is not so good after all.
According to Sir Arthur C. Clarke, Kubrick wanted to get an insurance policy from Lloyd's of London to protect himself against losses in the event that extraterrestrial intelligence was discovered before the movie was released.
So did you watch this on HBO Max?
No, Carl had a Blu-ray because he, like you, loves Stanley Kubrick. So we did not watch this on Max. We watched it on Blu-ray.
I was delighted by the fact that the TMC guys were on the HBO Max version, introducing it, telling little factoids before got started. What you doing with your hand? I thought you were.
I was moving my mic.
Okay. Well, because of your background, it often like hides your mic. So sometimes whenever you're like playing, it looks like you're playing with the air. Sometimes. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So 2001 was this the movie you'd expected, or how did it turn out compared to your fears?
So, it was a very slow-paced Kubrick science fiction movie, which is what I had been told to expect, and is what I expected. So, yay.
First time I saw this back in high school, didn't really have too strong of feelings about it, but it wasn't until like I really started talking to a pal of mine in college, what like the movie was like getting at is where like this might have been one of the earlier films where like it got me into talking about like movies and how they're made and like more the artsy side of them, especially whenever when you started filling me in on some of the aspects of this movie you wouldn't know just from the surface of seeing it. So let's see. And then no, his name was Matt Zimmerman. I was friends with him my senior year, and he was a little younger. But yeah, we watched a bunch of movies together, and he lived in Somerville, so it kind of worked out, and we hung out. And the next time I hung out with him, whenever the Blu-ray of this came out, I watched it, and he was like making fun of it the whole time and acting like a big D-bag, and yeah, we kind of stopped being friends after that. And the fact that he tried to use me as like getting a makeout room for a little girlfriend he wanted to invite over and watch The Godfather with. So, yep.
Yeah, that's totally a makeout movie, The Godfather. He's gonna make her an offer she couldn't refuse.
So we get an interlude at the beginning. It's not marked. It just kind of, you hear this kind of creepy music in the darkness, kind of sets the mood as we that finally gives way to the blue MGM lion old school logo as Zarathustra plays the old 2001 theme, very well known.
Ric Flair.
Yeah. I know it best from like we played it in high school whenever our football team comes out, which, you know, we're inspired by the fact that Carolina does that when the Gamecocks come out. So was very used to was already very familiar with this song before, you know, became, I guess, sealed and being iconic from this movie. Yeah. Love that opening.
Counterpoint that it is iconic from Ric Flair and not from this movie. Just gonna throw that out there, because I hear that and I just have to go, woo! Every time. just saying.
USC, go Cox.
But USC is the Trojans.
University of South Carolina, go Gamecocks.
Scar. They are Scar.
Scar.
They killed Mufasa.
Anyways, but it has this nice building quality as like we see the planets in alignment and it gets louder and louder, and then we see like the titles looking real classy there at the beginning, which leads to the Dawn of Man sequence. Yeah, so I can definitely see how this gets on people's nerves as we see these guys hanging out in monkey suits for quite a long time with the very pretty looking desert landscape behind them. I think some matte paintings in there as well. Yep, they're
Definitely thought some of that was painted, but it was very beautiful. Like the movie is beautiful and very well shot, and I don't think there's anybody with eyes that could try to say otherwise.
let's see, the monkeys do some arguing. You know, they're pretty fearful of that leopard. But then one morning, a group of them wake up and they find this big black block, a monolith, hanging out in front of them. They check out that monolith, and it turns out that it enhances their intelligence. And which
So
leads...
is this Brain Bran or whatever it is from We're Back, a Dinosaur Tale?
Essentially, that is exactly what we're dealing with. This is the Lego version of Brain Brew or Crunch, Brain Crunch. I don't know. Cerebral cereal.
Triple H's cereal.
Okay.
Oh.
So yeah. The monolith is sensed by some kind of alien life forms, and they've sent it down to this primitive species in order to get their brains a going. And so all of a sudden now the apes figure out that they can use bones for tools and weapons, so they've become a little bit more sophisticated, evolved. But these are kind of slightly smarter apes now, but now they're into violence. They're going to beat each other up in the process as one of them throws a bone up in the air, and we get a little cut to the space age. So, what were your thoughts on Dawn of Man?
It lasted way too long. It could have got its point across and been like half as long.
It definitely, every part of this movie's drug out to kind of a agonizing extent, which, you know, is part of the experience, but I can see how it would tick people off. And I mean, even last night, the last half hour or so, I was definitely starting to nod off because it goes by pretty slow, and I've seen it so many times, I pretty much know every beat of it anyways. But yep, we go from prehistoric times to suddenly an advanced future version of space where it's like routinely dull. I mean, we float / waltz up to space, everything's spinning, going pretty much like clockwork, and very uneventful is what I guess the movie's trying to get across to us, as space travel is nothing but a waltz now. Very cool looking as Joey continues to play with his mic.
You're gonna find I don't have much to add to the proceedings for this movie, so be prepared.
Be prepared. Definitely Kubrickian color scheme to here. You got very kind of washed out colors, but then pops of, like, you get the red, yellow, and blue, light blue spacesuit colors. Very bright reds in the space station, and already some early product placement on one of the computer monitors. You see IBM, you see Hilton, you see Howard Johnson. So this is a big old space hotel, and the guy that's going up there to check things out, you know, he gets confronted by some people that sound like they're from Russia. He doesn't know exactly what's going on, but he knows a little bit more than what he's leaning on, because he's about to administer a brief on this strange thing they found up on the moon. See the little early version of an iPad, little FaceTime, as he talks to his little girl who's just gonna have a birthday. I think that's Kubrick's daughter. So little fun tidbits all along the way here. Drawn out process of seeing the stewardess, you know, Like she had like the cling shoes so she could stick to the floor, and got the floating pen, which is definitely a marvel of I guess special effects that a lot of people talk
for the
about for
time.
this.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
apparently at the time that this movie was made, no one knew how Kubrick did that. And apparently they still don't know how he did it. That I don't know if that's true. That's what Carl said he read, or something, that they did not. They still don't know how they did that scene back
The
then.
pen.
The her walking like upside down and everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like almost 60 years later, and it's like we still don't know how he accomplished that with the technology available to him at that time period.
Did not realize that. I thought you were talking about the floating pen, which I think they said that he used glass and a double-sided tape to pull that off.
Ooh.
So it's fun how like once they're on the ship now, like things are kind of contrasted in how like simple they are, but complex in other ways. Like they basically go back to sucking down food through straws, like as if you were a baby, or somebody was injured or something. But at the same time, like if you freeze on that one shot of like him reading the toilet instructions, that there's like a whole huge panel for that. So
Yeah, well, you don't want shit in the space station, that's for sure.
remarkable how everything looks so cool, especially since we hadn't even gotten that view of like from space, like what we would a few years later after once the missions in the moon started going on. So.
Yeah, like I was even like, yo, are these? Well, this was 68. Didn't we go to the moon in like 68 or 69? And I guess it came out in
the year
68.
after.
Yeah. And I'm sure, but they had been in space. I was kind of curious where he got so many of those shots from, because they looked really fucking good.
And then there's all that speculation where they think that NASA got Kubrick to fake the moon launch and stuff, and they've helped fund this movie and so forth. So you got those fun little stories out there as well.
That and Kubrick being investigated by the FBI because of how accurate everything looked, and they thought they had a mole leaking stuff to him.
Huh. The boardroom scene really kind of highlights what I think of with a Kubrick scene, since it's very omniscient, like a fly on the wall kind of look, and like it's very odd that like the backgrounds are kind of like lit up. Very interesting how it's shot. From that back perspective, omniscient, like I said. They make their way to the moon, where there's that monolith, but not without a snack. They bust out some sandwiches on the way there, because it's important. Got to eat. A lot of eating in this movie.
Gotta. I mean, look, you gotta keep your energy up. You get your caloric intake in.
So once they start checking out the monolith, they get that high-pitched noise, which I guess is the frequency from Jupiter to tell the humans to come on out and see what they have going on out there. And so that goes into our final section of the movie, the Jupiter sequence. So this is when I told you this is going to get better. And did it get any better? I guess not. You didn't even like the howl sequence?
Negative, Ghost Rider. Negative, it did not get any better.
All right, so other cool technical things going on with we see the guys. They're basically doing laps in this like hamster wheel kind of deal. Very cool special effects there for space. When I got my first smartphone, HAL 9000 was my wallpaper on my phone with a few little sound effects. Are you an Android or an iPhone guy?
Android.
Okay, me too. Going along with the mundaneness
we agree
of
on something. Oh my god.
They go along with their mundane activities of like resting with these crazy little shades on and drawing pictures and playing chess and so forth. Because they're making their way to Jupiter, and a bunch of the crew is in hypersleep, and so it's just Dave and his buddy and Hal trying to pass the time. They give us a little exposition dump by showing us basically a news feature that was done on this mission to kind of fill us in on what they're up to. I love this the special effects with.
So you want to talk about something that has been in like so many movies since this one is one or two people on the crew are awake, everybody else is asleep. That is a very common trope in like sci-fi movies where they are traveling to the far reaches of the galaxy.
Yep, very true. I love the sound design where a lot of times we hear like nothingness except for like a hiss or something, or a beeping or to really amp up the intensity of like the quietness of space and dread and so forth we have here. So Hal reports that an antenna's gone bad, so he has the guys go out and check, and nothing's wrong with the antenna. He just says that it's going to fail, and so they've kind of lost faith in Hal, and they're thinking about disconnecting him. And this is what gets us to intermission. We got the cool scene where Hal's reading their lips. There's a whole big debate about like maybe Hal is like protecting the mission in their own interest because they wouldn't be able to handle like what the truth of their mission actually is. So there's lots of different debates you can get into with this. I've actually kind of heard so many of them that I guess it's not such a bad thing that you're not into this movie, because I mean I've talked about it so much it's kind of pretty much surface level for me.
He was a robot, and they had never been wrong before, or AI or whatever, and then he's gained sentience and wants power and control or whatever. Like, yeah.
No. Okay. Not really sure he wanted to become real, but he definitely didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah, or something went wrong in the programming and caused him to go evil, whatever. So.
Okay, let's see. Great shots of the light showing on the guys' faces. I always see like the shield and like the lights flashing on their faces from there. A lot of cool shots throughout, especially whenever it starts shaking later on. Lots of quite tense scenes. Let's see. The guy goes out to work on something, and basically Hal cuts him loose, and so Dave, despite Hal's telling him not to, goes out and saves him, but that's pretty fruitless because now he's not going to let Dave back in, so he has to blast him back into the ship. Open the pod bay doors, Hal. And then we get the lots of long sequences here where he's like definitely going to be turning Hal off, and Hal's trying to tell him to take a stress pill and relax, and this is my original programming, I used to sing Daisy, and so it's very sad as we unplug Hal. Once Hal's unplugged, get a message saying that the monolith has been connected to alien life on Jupiter, and so they're going to go check it out, get the Stargate sequence. How did you enjoy the pretty colors?
It lasted way too fucking long. Like, oh my god, I was just like, this. I'm not on enough drugs. This needs to end, please.
Oh, no. The wormhole takes them to like this really pretty fancy, nice alien place where he's started to age. He hangs out in this nice rooms, eating and sleeping, and I guess the aliens are keeping tabs on him as he's getting more intelligent, and also seeing his life pass before the monolith basically takes him and turns him into the Star Child and sends him back to Earth. And did you and Carl talk about any of that stuff?
No.
Okay. What did you think? Did you think anything was going on in there? What you got for me?
I was glad it was over. I was so checked out by that point. I just didn't even fucking care. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you.
Okay.
Yes, the movie was long. Like, like I said in my review on Letterboxd, there were so many scenes where everything just felt stretched out, and even the scenes where they were like building tension, it felt like they stretched them out to where it's like, okay, you've built the tension so much that I don't even care anymore. And then you take the 800-minute trip through the wormhole, and then you get to this, and it's like I don't care what's going on, just okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, thematically, it's about the advancement of human knowledge, and you don't care.
I mean, we haven't had a lot of human knowledge advancement in the last 60 years, clearly. So,
Ouch. All right, so a lot of people say this is their favorite Kubrick film. I find it a little bit too cold and kind of mysterious to go. I wouldn't really ever say a movie like this is my favorite, although I do appreciate it quite a bit. You know, its iconic elements from, you know, HAL 9000, and I mean, so much of it's memorable, but at the same time, the experience of watching it is challenging. I mean, I've seen it multiple times, and even this last time, I was like kind of dozing, and I mean, I wasn't worried about it because you're not really missing anything, because it's very dragged out, and and I guess whenever you think about it, time itself is, you know, long and cumbersome. So I guess it kind of reflects that with this movie that is kind of represents life and humans and intelligence. So there you go. 5 stars.
I gave it 2.5 off of the cinematography.
Okay.
The only thing I really talked about to some people with is that, like, everyone I talked to a few people who had very similar opinions to me, where it was just they watched it, they don't ever feel like they need to watch it again. They're glad that they watched it, and they respect, you know, how well it was made and what it's done and all of that. And I can understand all of that. But yes, being not a huge sci-fi person and not liking Kubrick, like his style, yes, it is more agreeable than Lars von Trier. But yeah, no, just it's not my thing. But I do think that if you somehow haven't seen this, that you probably should watch it, at least from the impact that it's had on movies and stuff since it came out, because it's one of those kind of movies. Or if somehow you like sci-fi and or Kubrick and haven't seen it, it feels like it would be perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so where are we going to go next? I definitely want to hear what you're going to pick first, so maybe I can spot my pick, because you pinged me earlier and said, I'm feeling football in the air.
Yeah, I mean, we always casually talk about football and stuff on here, and it's football season. Like, you know, we got college football starting officially. Week 1 this week. Pro is soon. High school football has started. So, I'm going to keep us in the 90s. Who doesn't want to see a whipped cream bikini?
Oh.
Varsity Blues, baby. Let's fucking go. I had 3 movies in mind. That's the one I ended up with.
And I picked Any Given Sunday.
That was one of the 3 I was gonna pick. Oh, well, all right, good.
And since that was the opening quote, I was a little nervous here, so I was like, what's gonna happen? But my backup was Friday Night Lights, so I guess we'll stick with Any Given Sunday.
That was the third. So I was gonna ping you and be like, "Hey, I'm picking a high school movie. Pick something different," but I didn't want to like give away. Earlier when you said you'd been watching all the Adam Sandler movies, I was like, "Is he gonna pick The Waterboy or The Longest Yard?"
No, totally had something else in mind for actually more of a blockbuster movie that I hated when it came out, but and I guess the reason Any Given Sunday was my first pick because I really don't know how I feel about it yet. So even though I watched it back in the day.
I haven't seen it. Like I saw it back in the day. I haven't seen it in a long time. Like, so I'm interested to watch it again. And I guess that's more of a like, even though there's some, obviously like some silly moments with like steaming Willie beaming, I keep all the ladies creaming, like kind of shit. It's a more serious movie than like Varsity Blues, which obviously is like a teen dramedy kind of movie. So I don't think it'll be fun to talk some football and some juxtaposition, and then that should lead us into the Halloween episode after that. So.
Oh, wow. Coming fast. All right. Well, if you guys enjoy listening, we'd love to hear from you. Please subscribe, hit the bell notification. We've got an email address. Check in with us, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yep, and all of that, I assume Justin's going to put down in the underneath us here on YouTube. That is the Average Joe's Movie Clubcast at gmail.com.
So, Joey,
yeah.
Why do we do this show? Besides getting drunk and totally making an ass out of herself, we'll talk about a movie we love.
Because I love watching you squirm every year as the Gamecocks lose to the Tigers.
Oh, man. Although, my Christina got me an awesome birthday present. She's taking me to see Gamecocks Tigers.
I'm so fucking jealous. I've never seen that before IRL. Also,
it is the Missouri Tigers, but I digress.
Well,
it'll still be good.
Fake ass Tigers. I will say though, the quarterback for Carolina this year, Lenore Sellers, he's from Florence. He's from where I live. He went to the same high school as me, obviously many years later. So there is that connection. So like I want him to do well, but and actually I've never met him, but I worked at a store called Rivals, which sold all Carolina and Clemson stuff. I met his mother a couple times, and she's a super nice and super sweet lady. So, yeah, I hope that they're going to do well on the Sellers. So,
awesome, possum. All right, thanks for listening. I said the thing, right?
What thing? Why do we like talking about movies?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just never responded with an actual answer. I shit post you, and then it's fine. It's fine. That's what they expect from us.
This is the end of the show. The show is over now. Go on with your lives.
I am very excited for Double Football Movie, and I was crazy that we had the same. Because normally I'm like, here's a theme, and I expect something along A and B, and then you pick like G, and I'm like, what the fuck? So the fact that like your top two were two of my three potential choices, because if you also were like Varsity Blues, I was gonna be like, all right, I guess Friday Night Lights, we'll just go all high school football, baby. So,
all right,
alrighty.
I'm gonna end the podcast now.
Oh, I thought we were already done.
No.
You could edit like all of that shit out at the end there, like.
No, definitely not. Bye.
Oh,